Hey everyone, I know some of you have been watching my content on YouTube and you may be wondering, who is Wale Ade? Well, you're in for a treat because on today's episode of Religion and Politics, we'll be talking about my origin story. Once again, it's your boy Wale Ade on another edition of Religion and Politics. And one of the things we're going to talk about today is who is Wale? And so for anyone who knows me, you know that I am a pastor currently serving in Maryland. And one of my passions is just to connect people from all walks of life with Christ. And so why am I doing this channel? What is the reason and the backstory behind my life? Well, honestly, I grew up in the church, right? I grew up in the Seventh-day Adventist church, and I'm a child of Nigerian immigrants. And so if you know anything about that, that means that there was a lot of strictness that was in my household. And so I grew up in public school, though. I never really went to private school until the end of my high school career. And so I had always been around people, for the most part, that were never Adventist or didn't really know anything about Adventist. And so as I grew up in the church, I started to see different things that just didn't sit well with me. One of the things that I experienced when I went to Adventist school was racism. I experienced it many times. In fact, it was a school that was mostly black, full of black students, but they had white teachers. And so a lot of times there were some instances that may have happened that I viewed were now looking back racist, and I didn't really know what was going on. I didn't know how to navigate this racist system in a system that is proclaiming Christ and his love, but treating me like I was less than. And as I moved through life, I started to get more and more disenchanted with the church. There's many things that I saw, where it's church politics, or where there were double standards, or sometimes even what I felt was just manipulation. And so I decided as I grew older that I didn't really want to have too much connection with the church. And so eventually, I moved out of the house. I went to college. I started doing my own thing, and I just started living life, if I was going to be honest. And so I just, didn't really go to church anymore like that. Didn't really want to stay connected to church people. And so as that matriculated, I remember I had plenty of instances with God. As a matter of fact, I knew God was real because one time he saved my life. I used to never wear a seatbelt, and I remember I was on my way on July 4th, 2004, just graduating from high school, to see my brother at his house, and I had my sister in the passenger seat, and I wasn't going to wear a seatbelt, but God told me clear as day in my mind, put your seatbelt on. And I thought it was kind of weird. I got scared. I put my seatbelt on. And about 10 minutes later, I got into an accident that I know if I had not had my seatbelt on, I would have went through the window most likely because of the impact. And who knows what condition I would have been in. And that's just one of the ways that I knew God was real. So God had always been working in my life. But once again, bad experiences with the church, a lot of things in the church that I thought were hypocritical. So I wanted nothing to do with it. And so eventually, God, through losing my job, he called me out. A lot of people asked me about my Christianity. I'm like, how can I even say I'm Christian when I don't even know what God is saying? And so I took some time to really go through the Bible and read and kind of dissect it and learn from myself. And one of the things that I realized is that the God I read about in the Bible was not the same God that I was seeing in church. Yeah, as a matter of fact, unfortunately, what I saw in church, a lot of times it was fake. What I saw in church, a lot of times people were putting up facades. A lot of times in church, I saw people putting up pretentious appearances just because they wanted to be seen a type of way, but they actually on the insides were acting a different type of way. And so the God that I learned about in church, I actually was turned off to, but the God that I learned about in the Bible, I was attracted to. And that's how I got back into a relationship with God. And so long story short, I have the Nigerian roots, I have the Adventist roots, and there's, a lot of culture and a lot of good things that I've learned from there. But there was also a lot of legalism and rule-based and performance-based love that I also learned from those cultures. And so one of the things that I do here on this channel is that I try to connect the Bible with relevant things. You know, one of the things I love doing is mentoring. I've worked in the community. I've been in the juvenile detention center. I've been in foster care facilities. And I started to see a world that was detached and disconnected from the church. And a lot of times there aren't a lot of people in church that know how to adapt the message to people who aren't really that interested in going to church. And so this channel is to talk about real life issues. This channel is to talk about God and see how your life and God intersect so that you can get the encouragement, that you can get the empowerment, that you can get everything that you need, because God is searching for more people. He's trying to encourage. He's trying to shower his love on a lot of people that may not be trying to walk set a foot in the church. And so my job and my calling is to really reach out to people who've either been disenchanted with church or turned off by church, is to just give them a message of encouragement and hope and show them that even though they may have had a bad experience with God in church, the God of the Bible still loves them and cares for them. And so once again, my name is Wale Ade, and religion and politics is just for you. I'll see you soon.
Front line when it's go time, and ain't no time for that hesitating. I'm about this kingdom biz and I push a line to that sucker Satan. I got my hands raised when I praise the God of Israel.